I told you that a key first responder in the Bryon Macron case was never interviewed? What if I told you that the silence around the case wasn't just accidental, but negligent or deliberate? Stay with me. So before we dive in, I want to remind everyone about our live event on March 1st at 4:30 p.m. We'll be discussing this case in real time, breaking down misinformation, and setting the record straight. This is your chance to ask questions, interact, and be part of the conversation. Don't miss it. Now, I just wanted to quickly show, all right, in pretty much every link of any video that I use in the Facebook, Rumble, all of the links, all right, there's one contact link that I use for everything to try to simplify everything. All right, so I have it up here. Let's try to make it. There we go. Make it full screen. All right, so this is just obviously bio information, but explaining to everyone. All right, so this is how to send me email right here. This is the YouTube link, the TikTok link, which honestly, I haven't put a lot of effort into the TikTok yet. I apologize. I honestly thought it was going to be banned, so I didn't put a lot of effort into it. The Facebook page right here. All right, this is the Apple podcast link. All right, so these are the two things that are probably the most requested. All right, this is Signal. Right, when you hit this, now I don't have it installed, but if you were to go on a mobile device and you hit this button, all right, it's going to open up Signal, which is a encrypted messaging service that no one, and I mean no one, including the FBI, can't hack into. All right. So I get a lot of requests about people wanting to talk to me off the record, and this is how to do it. And you can even set it up. It'll actually allow you to set it up so that the messages will even vanish from my screen after 30 seconds. There's different time limits and so forth. But you need to download the app to use it. But it's a great app. Why not have it anyways? So let's go back. So you have the Signal, and then there's also the option of Speakpipe. And when you press on that, all right, you can leave me basically a video, or I'm sorry, not a video, an audio message, and you do not have to identify yourself. From what I understand, it's not tracking IP address or anything like that. So again, if you want to leave me a audio message quickly, just hey, you can hit that, start recording, and it'll, just as I'm showing you now, all right, it's recording this, and you hit stop, and then you have the option, if you want, to put your name and email, but you don't have to. You can just hit send, and bam, it has sent me your voice recording. Oh, see? Just got the message about it. So, also, right here, I wanted to explain while I have you, this is, these are bigger links for YouTube and Rumble. If you want to donate some money for my hard work, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Now, right here, I've added the live event audience link. So there's still some confusion on this. The way this works is we're going to be streaming live from YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. And any of those platforms, you can leave a message. Not leave a message. You can chat in real time, right? And it'll just come across visually on our screen that, hey, this person has said this and asked this question, all right? Turning my audio down. I think my audio is spiking. All right. So all right, there we go. So but this link here, all right, this is if you actually want to come on the show on March 1st. So if you click that, now if you're using a computer, you won't need to do anything except to click that button, all right? And it will launch into the studio. Right? Now, if you're using a mobile device to join the audience, you will have to download Riverside, and it will prompt you when you click that button to join Riverside. All right? So I just wanted to give a quick explanation about that. So to bring everyone up to speed, I've spoken with 5 fire departmental personnel, and some have provided critical background information, but have chosen to remain anonymous. One individual permitted me to use their statements, but requested not to be identified, while 2 have been given me full interviews, both of which you'll see today. Among those interviewed, one was directly involved in the body recovery, and here's what surprises me. This person has never been interviewed by law enforcement, even with what Sheriff Grice recently called new questions in a public interview.
Is there new evidence?
There's new questions.
Where he suggested re-interviewing first responders and potentially using lie detecting technology. This responder has still not been contacted. So why the continued silence? What questions remain unanswered? Let's get into it. Now, about these so-called new questions, which actually seem to be an old question revisited, given why Bryon Macron's body was floating vertically, with something tied around him. One firefighter who wishes to remain anonymous maintains that the original diver who recovered Bryon Macron told him something was tied around the body. To this day, that firefighter stands by what he was told. What I find particularly odd is that out of every first responder I have spoken with, not one claims to have discussed that day amongst each other. No shared memories, no exchanged theories, just silence. So, did Sheriff Grice actually reinvestigate this case? One firefighter stated that he did recently give a statement to deputies, but paraphrasing his words, he doesn't believe his interview was taken very seriously. I have submitted a public records request, I'll put it up here, to determine whether the first responder who recovered Macron's body was ever officially brought in for questioning, along with several other critical requests. I finally got a response back, and mind you, the response probably took longer than actually fulfilling the public records request. Remember, this case has been requested by multiple parties. These documents should have already been pulled and readily available for review. Now, there is one common thing that has been told to me by nearly every firefighter I've spoken with, and I've remained objective here. I have no skin in this game. This is something that has been brought to me repeatedly. You know the old saying, if one person calls you a horse, ignore it. If 2 call you a horse, think about it. And if 3 people call you a horse, buy a saddle. The threats and intimidation reportedly used by ex-trustees Linda Bowers and Michael Costello have been a reoccurring theme in my conversations with firefighters. Let me be absolutely clear. While these incidents may have nothing to do with the death of Bryon Macron, they occurred around the same time and were, at very least, highly unethical. Nearly every firefighter I've spoken with has described an environment where pressure, threats, and intimidation were commonplace. Some were directly warned to stay silent about what they had witnessed. Others have suggested that powerful individuals made it very clear asking too many questions, challenging the status quo, or stepping out of the line could lead to real consequences. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. This wasn't just about the case of Bryon Macron. This was a broader pattern of control, a deliberate effort to silence voices and keep people in check. The fear wasn't just hypothetical, it was real, tangible, and effective. The consistent message, if you ask too many questions, there will be consequences. What we are looking at here is a pattern, one that raises serious questions and concerns about how power was wielded and abused. The question is, how far did it go? And more importantly, why? Nearly every firefighter I've spoken with has described an atmosphere of fear where speaking out could lead to professional or personal repercussions. Some were warned outright to stay quiet about what they saw. Others implied that certain individuals in power had made it clear that questioning the official narrative was not in their best interest. And I'm not going to give it all away just yet. I need you to put this in the back of your mind because, quite frankly, it's going to blow your mind. And stay with me because at the end, we'll be coming back with an interview with April Winters, and the first responder who was on the Zodiac boat during the recovery of Bryon Macron's body. Alongside her, you'll hear from her husband, Brad Winters, who is the assistant chief of Lafayette Township Fire Department. What they have to say will add another layer to this investigation. That you don't want to miss, so stay tuned. Folks, I just wanted to drop this and 2 items before I put the interview on with April and Brad Winters. One, and most importantly, I know I had made previous statements in the previous segment here talking about questions. I just wanted to make certain I don't believe that I asked Brad and April relative to the questions on the ex-trustees. And I'll be honest, I didn't ask them because I didn't want their response, especially knowing that they were going to be interviewed and being put on blast here, essentially. So I didn't ask them those questions. So I just wanted to make certain everybody understood that I wasn't talking about these 2 first responders when I was talking about the previous segment. And number 2, I had some technical difficulties. Apparently, we were engaged in conversation questions for the first 3 to 5 minutes, and I didn't realize I wasn't recording. So when the recording starts, when the interview starts, we sort of go back on some very pertinent questions that I asked, and I asked for her response again. It's blue.
It's blue. Okay.
All right. All right. This one just that one is supposed to be tied to this, so I'm just activating this so that it's. I just have something in case I don't know what happened. I don't know if I didn't activate the recording, but all right. So we're gonna go back real quick because I think it's a critical question.
Okay.
All right. Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Can you describe again? You said that Josh walked out.
He walked out. He was able to walk out from shore. So beachside and Lilo Shorefield area is where I never made it to that end of to the lake, so I have no idea exactly what street, but it was on beachside. Mm-hmm. So he came out and was able to walk all the way out to Bryon.
Okay.
While we were on the boat.
All right. And I asked, was he floating freely or caught against anything?
He didn't appear to be caught against anything.
And was anything tied, wrapped, or to any portion of his body?
No.
And I asked, did Josh have to break surface, meaning did he have to go underwater?
No, he never did, no.
Right. And so the conversations, when you guys are rolling up in the Zodiac, what do you remember?
I don't. I feel like it was very quiet, and just once you approached out there and like, oh my God, that is Bryon. You know what I mean? I feel like that was maybe me talking to myself, but it felt very quiet. Just kind of.
And maybe, I don't actually think, because for whatever reason, I thought you were in the pontoon. So
okay.
Can you tell me who was in the Zodiac?
Myself, Scott Romanoff, Daryl Sislow, and Bob Locker.
Okay. And
3 of us, Daryl, Scott, and myself, were the fire department, and then Bob Locker is from the sheriff's department.
Okay. Is he still there? Do you know, or?
I don't think so, but I don't know 100%.
Was he? Do you know what he was at that point? Was
I know
he like a detective,
I believe at that point he was a detective, because he did show up at Station 2 at the Chippewa Lake Station, and that's how he ended up with us on the boat.
Okay.
So he pulled in at the same time. Actually, I was pulling in because I came from home actually that day that he was recovered.
Do you know, was there any conversation with this kayaker?
With who?
The kayaker that found?
I never had any conversation with them.
Did you see anybody conversing with him?
No.
Because he was never interviewed, so.
Oh, well.
I was hoping that maybe you had recalled something.
I did not, no.
He was reviewed. Let me take it back. He was interviewed by the news,
okay.
But no law enforcement official actually
Got
ever interviewed him. So I was hoping that maybe you remember something. Okay. And I don't. So yeah, that's weird. I just realized what you said, because I'm like, they never did interview you. So I guess that my question was probably for you. You had indicated in your BCI interview, and again, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just trying to refresh your memory. That it had unusually high water levels in the weeks prior to Macron's discovery. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. And do you think this have influenced where his body was found?
I don't know. I mean, there was thoughts, because of the high water, did he float from, in that marshy area north of the lake or something like that? Was he in the inlet or something along those lines, So that water rising up, did it bring him out into the lake because the current flows from north to south? That's just, speculation and trying to put the pieces together here a little bit and find out, where did he come from?
So, and actually that was, you just answered. I said, could his body have been originally in the marshy area or the inlet? You had mentioned that a police officer stopped at the fire department and told your wife that they were confident Macron had walked down to Chippewa Lake Park. Do you remember that?
I do. I don't remember the deputy that said that, but their speculation was that Bryon went off the park pier, and maybe there couldn't have been a snowdrift down there or anything like that because there was no water. Well, maybe in the 16th of December, when the lake was partially frozen or something like that, that he went in down there, and then the current had brought him back around the lake. But I thought that was kind of odd because the current, I don't know a lot about underwater currents and different things like that, but as far as I know, the water flows from north to south on Chippewa Lake, and if there was any current, it'd be weird for him to go from the southeast corner of the lake to the northwest corner of the lake.
No, I was honestly trying to figure that out myself.
Yeah.
So my question was, did anybody ever follow up with the officer relative to how he came up to this conclusion? Or
No.
And nothing I've seen has been documented stating
Got it.
that, or why they thought that, or who said it, or whatever. I don't know. But all right, these are going to sound like pointed questions, but they're not.
Okay.
They're just topics that keep coming up, that people keep talking about, and I'm moving into like the fire department and township operations. All right. So was there? And honestly, I know, but I want to hear it from you. Well, I shouldn't say I know. I don't know, but I can imagine a fire department. But what was the reason behind the need for bedrooms in the new fire station?
Oh, bedrooms in the new fire station?
Yeah.
Because we wanted to be able to staff 24 hours a day. That was kind of the vision of the fire department and the administration at that point, that we would build, we would put bedrooms in the new fire station so that we would be able to staff overnight.
Okay. And honestly, I don't know why that's such a point of contention, but for whatever reason, it seems to be very much a point of contention.
Okay.
I mean, were you aware, like, back then, did residents oppose having a 24-hour coverage or something? Or?
I can tell you what, now that you bring that up, one of the things that was contested, I know it was either one of the trustees meetings, they were having a tough time. We had to justify showers.
Yes, we did have to.
Do you remember that?
I do know, yes.
Somebody had brought up, like, why do you have to have showers? Oh, yeah, that was a big deal. I can't remember.
I guess you were just going to continue to smell like smoke after a fire?
Or nowhere to shower after a call or clean or contaminate or anything. And they're like, you don't need showers in the new fire station. And then obviously there's codes and ADA and all that other stuff. So if you have to have one, you got to have two, so on and so forth. And it just kind of like, and I never heard the bedroom ones, but I heard they were really trying to say we did not need showers.
And I actually didn't have this written down, but and I'm going sort of off topic at this point, but you brought something to my memory. And help me understand. So at this point, when I grew up, Chippewa Lake had its own fire department.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
At this point, Lafayette is doing both, or they have a station in Lafayette, and the same Lafayette personnel are also in Chippewa Lake at this point?
Yeah, we were all, by 1999, we merged together. Still in two separate buildings, but administratively, everything had merged at that point.
And there's a point of contention. There is and I'm just asking this as a general question, not that you have any specific knowledge. to it, or you may, I don't know, but there's a point of contention of a bloody rag and a bag that's found in the trash can. That today, as far as I know, the DNA has still not been identified. And would that have been procedure for the fire department? What the sheriff's department is basically alleging that, that somebody from the fire department just threw this in here. Was that procedure at that point to use the dumpster for
So at the station, we would have a biohazard container, like a trash can with a lid with bags in it. So I believe we were allowed to dispose of so much
The 50 pounds a month.
of biohazard things,
In a
not
red
needles,
bag.
but
Yeah.
such as like you're cleaning up the back of the squad or something after a call. You life flighted somebody and you in the back at the station. You're cleaning up afterwards. You disposed of those type of things in the biohazard bag container, and
So-
then that could be placed in the dumpster.
So can I ask, and again, if you don't answer, you don't answer. I mean, did it happen as far as did you guys, were you religious about putting it in the biohazard bag, or is there a chance that this rag was from a call?
I can't tell you what other people did.
No, and that's
You know what I
that's
mean?
fair.
I don't know.
When after a
Did
bad
somebody?
call, I mean, you get in the back. You put everything in the biohazard bag.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
You
honestly,
just-
doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to just throw it out there. So I
Exactly.
don't quite understand why the sheriff's department thinks that, but
Yeah,
I mean-
I don't know. We were asked about that bloody towel.
you were.
We were, and I was actually telling Brad this. I can't remember if this would have been, I think, when Bryon went missing, that time frame. Don't ask me if it was a week, 3 days, 2 days. I don't know, but there was a detective that came to the station, and there was a handful of us that were there, and he had questioned about the bloody towel, and we had to go back, and I personally pulled females, because it was female DNA,
Yes.
which you can figure that out. I have no idea. I had pulled.
It's a Y chromosome.
Okay.
We're able to-
I don't know. That's beyond my. And I had pulled some female EMS run reports that we transported females, and maybe
Okay.
would have started an IV or something.
Okay.
So
How did the creation of the fire district impact operations or response time? And again, this is going back to these contentious questions on, for whatever reason, people didn't think that there was a need for this fire district.
Made it honestly, operationally, it made a lot of
So
sense.
we weren't on board when there was the fire.
We weren't. We were okay.
Yeah,
Let's
we
go
were.
back up. Okay, so are you talking about the merger of Chippewa Lake and Lafayette, or are you talking about the creation of the fire district?
The fire district.
We can't speak to that. I wasn't on the department then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I mean, do you can you just help clarify for me, because I have no idea even what this fire district is. Do you have any idea?
I don't know 100% how Lafayette, like how they did it. I know in other areas when they have a fire district board, a lot of times that's made of like a township trustee, a village council person, maybe a private resident. They have their own clerk, fiscal officer, and all of that other stuff. But obviously they set this district up and it's still run by the board of trustees, and they still have the same fiscal officer. But in some way, shape, or fashion, they're called a district. And I think Westfield is really set up the same exact way. So I don't know 100% what the benefits of that are as it's set up right now. Opinion-wise, if it was made up of council people and township people and different things like that, I think it's kind of serves both communities. But that's just not the way Lafayette is set up, to my knowledge.
So during that time, can you describe the working relationship between the trustees and the fire department? Do you not? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I mean,
It was a struggle. I'm just trying to. It was. I'm trying to find the right word. A battle.
Okay.
That's about what I can pretty much.
Can you get any specific for me? I mean, is it like for funding? Was it for?
I think it was all sorts of things.
Okay.
It could have been funding. It could have been just you weren't in the squad fast enough. You were doing this. Down to petty things. I don't.
Okay.
So.
Probably more so to you, Chief. Did you ever review any of the finances as far as the
A
department?
lot.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, Jeff was the chief. I was assistant chief. We were in the budget all the time.
And I'm going to ask you a question that you may not want to answer. So,
Yeah.
did you notice any discrepancies with the funding?
We did not. We did not. We would look. We were specifically. We had our appropriation status, if you will. So it had all of our line items, and we would just the money that came out of the fire budget. You know, we would write requisitions and request what line items and different things we would want those to come out of and stuff. And I mean, there was a period of time that we wrote requisition explanations about the equipment we wanted to buy and so on and so forth. So we were always looking at our specific appropriation status. As far as the budget or the funding, general fund, we had no eyes on that whatsoever. We just looked at our budget.
Right, so I was told that there was a specific budget allocation for items such as copier, paper, and ink for the fire stations, yet I've been told that there was no copier at the fire station. Is that?
There was actually
copiers.
two. When I was, there was two. We had one at Station One,
There was two.
one at Station Two, and we paid a lease on those.
Okay.
And we paid service contracts on those, and they were freaking expensive. I'm not gonna lie. We paid by the copy.
And it was only black and white.
Yeah.
There wasn't color, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, the color printer was in our office, and that was a hand-me-down printer.
Yeah, that was, we brought from home. or something.
So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And again, I as I'm going through this, I find that there's a lot of misinformation that's
Okay.
out there, and so
Yeah.
that was just one of the things.
We had two copiers.
So you had two copiers?
Yes,
All right.
we
One in
did.
each station.
One at each station.
And again, I'm talking about your interview. You had mentioned that Macron was an advocate for the fire department, and that he rode around with Medina County Sheriff Deputy James Sanford during overnight hours. Do you remember that? Or?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did,
He would
did
show up on calls with us. He would show up on calls in the middle of the night.
Okay.
That's because he was out with Sanford.
Did he ever mention why he was going on the ride-alongs, or?
Not really. No, I thought he just enjoyed it.
Can you describe just a little bit like the relationship between Sanford and Bryon, if you knew?
I don't personally know. I have
Just professionally on calls. I mean, I thought they just were probably good professional friends.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of is how that was all perceived.
Were you aware if they did any like outside activities together or anything
No.
like that? During the fire levy campaign in October 2016, Macron mentioned that he received death threats over the levy. He even stepped out of a meeting to make a call from the same person. Do you recall any of those details?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And as that's stated, that's 100% that happened. Yeah.
I mean, was there? Can you add anything to it? I mean, as far as
Whenever Bryon would say a lot of things with, you know, a smile, you know, or always would kind of rib and joke around a little bit like that. So it was kind of hard to take him serious by saying, man, somebody, and don't quote me of these exact words, but it was kind of around the way like, geez, somebody's trying to kill me over this fire levy. You know, something along those, something like that. I don't know if it was kill, murder, but it was something along those lines that somebody was after him because of the fire levy.
But he never identified who this person was,
No.
or?
No.
So, probably back to April, I'm assuming. Who would typically, or so who would create the EMS report for an incident like Bryon Macron's recovery?
So it would have been the highest trained level on that squad. Are you talking about like the EMS report in general?
Yes.
So it would have been whoever like the paramedic would have been, or whoever the senior highest trained person that has the highest certification, I guess I should say.
Okay. And generally, how soon after an incident was it completed?
It should have been within 24 hours.
Okay. And I'm assuming we're all being I'm being realistic here.
Right.
All right. Things happen. Sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't get filled out.
It doesn't
in
get
24
locked
hours.
off because, yes,
But generally, it should be filled out pretty soon.
that was, yes, correct.
If you recall, back then, who was the reporting agency that the report would have been sent to?
EMS report? Yeah, who would it be?
If it went for billing, it would have been the Life Force Management.
Right. We would have went for Life Force Management, did the billing,
Uh-huh.
and then are you talking about who are the reporting, EMS reporting
Yes.
is who we used?
Yeah, we used emergency reporting.
Emergency reporting.
Emergency reporting was the reporting software that we used.
Okay.
That was the platform that we had.
And do you know who it fed to, or
So it would have been
like for billing?
there. So billing wise, it would have been the Life Force Management, but I don't think there would have been a bill because it was a DOA. I don't know
No,
that
we still billed.
we'd still billed for those. Okay, she handled kind of more of that kind of stuff, and then the reports are uploaded to the state of Ohio, and I believe the state of Ohio. I mean, when you look at computer data, it's a bunch of numbers, and this, it doesn't really specifically spell out what the report really says. It's all in numerics.
So it's more like and I didn't quite understand. Somebody
Yeah.
had said that to me also, and I honestly don't. I didn't have that much information as far as that. So it's sort of like an OH2 where it's basically like statistics for multiple reports
Yes.
that are.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So some have referred to the possibility that an EMS report exists for this incident. Do you know?
Should have been.
Should have
Like I said before, that's how we would get paid. That's obviously from that also, but that's just how we would generate. You go out on a call, no matter if it was somebody taking a nap underneath of a tree and somebody thought they were unconscious, you still create some sort of report.
So I'm going to try to find the. I thought I had actually attached it. My apologies. But I don't know right. Email coming on that. Rebecca Bryon. You know Rebecca Bryon? With the Sheriff's Department. What's the chief's, what's the current chief's name?
Brian Kavanaugh.
Kevin.
Oh, Rebecca. She's the assistant up at the Sheriff's Department, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Like is she administrative assistant or something?
Yes. I don't know definitively. I was told that she was originally his EA or executive assistant in Montville, and that
Yes.
she came over. So I'm showing you the report that Kavanaugh gave to me, and you're more than welcome to manipulate it however you want to see it.
Oh yeah, that's from emergency reporting.
Yeah. But this would,
Oh yeah, 1449, engine 1011.
so that would have just been the fire engine, the fire
Yeah.
apparatus.
I'm trying to gingerly ask this because again, I'm not trying to. Normally would there? I mean, a legitimate question is, would there normally be like people assigned to
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, that's
hey,
why
this
I looked
person was
on.
here, this person
Yeah.
showed up,
Yes,
this person.
yes.
Yeah, can I say that again? Just curious.
Because sometimes it would be multiple pages also. So imagine if this is a structure fire, which extends into hours and multiple apparatus.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it doesn't have the people on the apparatus or anything. So then, from a payroll standpoint,
That's what I
the report is, brought up through certain date ranges, and then it spits out, the personnel that are on the, on what apparatus.
But this is definitely not an EMS report.
No, that would be an incident report.
Okay. And I've been told that is the only
What
document.
Yeah, there would be multiple pages, and that's how we would get paid. As a payroll. So you would always keep track of who was on whatever apparatus.
So normally a report would not look like that.
No,
Okay.
not for that type of incident.
So the gentleman that supposedly authored the report, do you know him? I've been told he works currently for Westfield Fire Department.
Yeah, you're correct.
All right.
But somebody else generated that report, I think.
So he didn't do,
that
Blair
could
did
have
not
been-
do this?
Well, that report also could have been a date that it was requested.
Point.
When
It printed.
I'm
I'm
the
sorry.
date that was printed.
So correct me.
That
That's
report
when
was
it was
printed.
printed. So that's when it was requested.
Yeah, that report was printed on that day. So somebody had called and requested that report on that day.
And generally, and again, I'm asking these questions because I'm not trying to like stick anything to this, right?
Right.
I'm just trying to normally would they be reviewed because it says it's not reviewed?
Yes, and there should have been a narrative. We always try to make sure that you put a narrative. You know, you arrived on a scene and you found this. So there's a narrative section.
If you were to take a wild guess, can you guess why it was looked like this, or
either somebody failed to go back and complete it because of the chaos and the situation, type the call maybe. That's what I would guess, and it just got overlooked. That's the only thing that I can.
And another.
It's very vague.
And another wild thing that could have happened, and it would happen occasionally and stuff like that, and that there was a double entry.
Could have been a double entry.
There could have been a double entry. So, meaning somebody started the report, and this would happen from time to time because somebody would start a report from one station. Remember, and then you read a double entry. So what would happen? Like somebody started the report, and then you would have to go back and maybe delete a report because it was a double entry. So,
is there an audit? So the CAD system for East Cleveland, I can go in and audit report. I can see exactly who went in the report, when
yes,
went in the report.
There is that. Yes.
On emergency reporting, yes, that you can go in and you can see that
somebody logged in and looked at the report.
History.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so obviously I need to ask for the audit.
Yeah, who changed? Yes, who logged in? If you logged in and you entered something in the daily log, it would keep a log of that. If you did it, keep a log of that. It kept a log of that.
All right, we're going to move into an uncomfortable topic. You don't have to, and if you don't want me to, I won't include this. But I have personally reached out to Media 144, which is the name of the company. If you don't know, that installed cameras in the Lafayette administration building and the fire departments, plural. I don't know if you guys are aware of that at this point, but I have. You are now the 6th firefighter EMS that I've spoken with.
Is that right?
Good.
I think I have a pretty good foundation, although I am still a little confused now because he said that you had to swim, but to get to Bryon. But we were talking about the covert cameras, right? Mm-hmm. Were you aware at some point that there were covert cameras that were installed? Now, in this interview, we're going to be talking about covert cameras, and I don't want to get ahead of myself with this topic because we haven't discussed it. It may have come up a couple of times, but we really haven't discussed it at this point. But I wanted to ask these questions to them because I was already interviewing them. So just keep these questions and answers in the back of your head once we go over the full disclosure of the covert cameras.
After they were discovered.
Do you remember when that was?
It would have been long after Bryan's situation. Two of the firefighters were there. Supposedly they're changing a bulb, changing something out on one of the lights, and noticed the little camera. I was not there personally, but then you know how it all just escalates into
a big deal.
Phone a firefighter, phone a friend, phone a firefighter. You know how it just all escalates. And that's the only way that I ever knew.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you remember suspending someone at some point?
Do I remember suspending somebody?
Or someone being suspended for destruction of
Gavin.
Property of the camera?
Was I still in the department when that happened? I think I might have been a civilian.
I was told that you were, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like I was already at Seville when those got discovered.
I don't remember.
So and again, I don't run an interview. I don't put thoughts or words in people's mouths.
Right.
But I will say, since you've already answered to your recollection, I was told it was much sooner towards Bryan's disappearance that they were discovered, and that somebody was doing some sort of safety inspection or something of the fire signage. And
I know the 2 individuals that were,
wait a minute.
that were there.
That's my popcorn.
I know, I see it behind your video in your video.
People commented about that all the time about my popcorn machine too. Now they're gonna think this is
Do you
set
remember
up.
Ray Wills?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember Ray Wills?
Yeah.
Brad,
I was actually gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. Brad talks to him
Talk to him
every
every Sunday.
but he gave it to us.
Give that to me.
I'm like, wait a minute. Now everybody's gonna think this is
Set up now?
yeah, set up.
Yeah, see, I think the camera, I remember discovering the camera. I didn't discover the camera. I asked Jeff when we were going to a trustees meeting, I'm like, what's with the green exit signs? He's like, I don't know.
And that's what I was told also. They
Yeah.
were green instead
Yeah,
of
he's
red.
like, what's with the green exit signs? He's like, I don't know.
And then of course he says something to me, I'm like, oh yeah, they're up there. Like,
And
That
so
was it.
we just, they were in an appropriate spot. So we're just like, all right, somebody put green exit, stranger things have happened, right? And we just, but.
You don't remember approximately when that was though?
I'm thinking this had to be when we were putting the fire station stuff together.
I don't
Bryon
remember.
Bryon still had to be alive when those cameras were yeah, Bryon was still the trustee when those cameras, I think, went in.
Which I'm assuming would be after
Have you
Bryan.
He
interviewed
was
Jeff
up.
Hall yet?
I'm sorry?
Jeff Hall, have you interviewed Jeff?
I have not. No.
Have you reached out
I've
to
been
him?
attempting to. He hasn't responded.
Oh, he hasn't? I'll
But he honestly may not. I messaged him through Facebook, and if you're not friends with somebody, I don't even know if he's even seen my message at this point. And I try not to like ambush people. I don't want them to feel they have to talk to me. But no, I would like to talk to him. But I was told Jeff Hall and you suspended a fireman after being. Well, no, I don't want to put the words.
Yeah,
in the
no.
mouth. But you don't remember any
I
point?
do not recall suspending anybody.
I thought that my recollection, that was a trustee forcing a suspension on a firefighter.
That's actually exactly what I was going to
Okay.
say, but I didn't want to put words in anybody's mouth. So,
It was
do you remember that? Do you remember a trustee forcing you guys to suspend somebody?
No. I'm trying to think. I know got demoted. I remember that vividly. But that was way before all of this happened.
I don't know if you're a civil or not.
Do you know that? Did you know at the time that there were? Right, there's a really critical, important question that I'm hoping you can help me with. And of course, I'm not getting an overview of what I want. Why do I have this? All right, I'm just gonna. I was hoping to show you. Why is this? Why is it saying Lafayette Township in Medina? Because that's the current. Okay. Do you and I'm speaking of the time when Bryon went missing. Do you know of any external cameras that were outside of the fire department and or administration building?
So there was told that there was one at the gas pump, so we would fuel our own apparatus at the gas pump. It's like a next to the service department, and there was like a shed that had like that they put all the salt. So supposedly that there was a camera there. Whether there truly was a camera.
So I guess that was my question. Why do you say supposedly? He didn't. I mean,
I didn't go look. I did not see it. I did not go looking. That was just a rumor that there was a camera out there because somebody was stealing fuel, because for whatever reason.
Was this? Did you hear this back then or after Bryon?
I don't know. Oh, that would have been before. That was beforehand. That was before Bryon.
Okay.
With the cameras. Yeah.
Now, some of the firemen have stated it was on the building. The camera was on the building, and that's what I was trying to bring up. The building. I don't know if that's a garage or something.
Salt shed.
The salt shed.
The salt shed.
That's what I was told.
Yeah,
It's faced,
by the gas pumps.
I was told that the camera was on that building facing the pumps, but it was visible, according to them. Is that not
Maybe it
accurate?
was.
That you recall?
I just wasn't a person that going out to what I didn't do anything, so it wasn't
Oh,
going to
yeah.
for a camera,
Oh.
so I didn't
Oh,
go to the
that's
camera. So I guess, okay, if there's a camera there, then so be it, there's a camera there. So I honestly did not like visually go out and look. Station 2, yes, I did.
It's odd because I can't. There's no record of it ever being pulled, or if it did exist,
Right.
there's no record of it ever being pulled or anything of that nature. Now, if you are aware, were there cameras inside the administration building? Because I have people vehemently telling me that there were cameras inside the administration building.
I don't know. I have no idea. In the administration building, I have no idea.
Okay. Do you remember did you ever go to the inside?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how you would get in?
After Bryon went missing, we had to like buzz in there, like ring a bell, wasn't it, to get, because Kim was in there?
Yeah.
So that was not there before Bryon?
No.
So how would you get in?
You would just walk in the administration building, and Kim, you'll,
If it was unlocked, and then they could buzz you in the other door. Right? Wasn't there another door?
that, to their office, I don't know.
Yeah,
That
I
I
think
don't
they
know,
would-
because we would go in and pick up mail.
Yeah.
Or if she would have something for us, or we'd have to drop something off. But after Bryon, you had to buzz in.
You remember, and I'm sort of just going off on a couple of. Do you remember the maintenance guy, Rick Evans? Mm-hmm. Because the reason it sort of reminded me, you were talking about picking up the mail. Do you remember? Was that something that he would do, or?
I would go down, or we would go down and pick up fire department mail.
Oh.
That's addressed to like Chief
Yeah.
Hall, or just
okay,
magazines we would get. So that was
But not to the administration. You wouldn't pick up all the mail.
from the administration building. From Kim, like they would check the mail from the mailbox. Whoever would do that.
The mailbox was by the road, wasn't
Yes,
it?
Yeah.
yes.
And for both locations, or just the fire department?
It was for
the whole complex.
The whole complex.
So I'm just trying to understand. So you would go through and like separate the fire mail, or you would just grab all of
The
it?
administration.
Yeah, admin
We
would
would
grab all of
never
it.
touch the mail. Somebody else would pick up the mail and deliver it to the administration building.
Okay.
Whether that be Kim or
Is it
Rick.
possible it was Rick Evans or?
Could have been. I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know. And then Kim would say, "Hey, I got a stack of mail for you guys that's addressed." to the
Oh,
fire
so then
department."
you would go to the administration and pick up
Yeah.
the mail.
Picking up
Okay,
the mail.
all right.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be. I mean, what are you? Is there something that you can think of that should be asking you?
Going back to Bryon, I just want to that he was up and down in the water. You probably know that, or maybe that.
So So my question then, and I appreciate you bringing that back up, circling back around. So, are you saying that you think that it was so shallow that he was just touching the bottom?
I don't know. That he was like, is that horizontal?
Vertical.
Yes, vertical.
Up and
Thank you. Yes,
So always in the back of my head, that always seemed very odd to me.
it is.
Okay.
It's almost impossible. And I didn't want, again, to bias your answers, and that's why I didn't say anything.
That's always haunted
It's
me
impossible
personally. So.
without some sort of external force or external reason why a body would be vertical. You either have prone or you have supine.
Supine.
Supine is
right.
face up.
Yeah.
You do not have vertical.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm really having a difficult time understanding how or why he was vertical. So I was honestly hoping that you were going to at least be, I was hoping, hey, maybe nothing's tied around him. But I was hoping that you could at least say, hey, there was an ice shelf or something that he was stuck on or something.
But if it was that shallow there, his feet could have been stuck in
And
the
once
mud.
you said that, maybe those feet were stuck in. I don't know, because that haunted me for the longest time. I would like Google things, to be quite honest, like how did the body, like, normally we're out there usually immediately for recovery, as you well know. And it's usually not like that. It's not, the body's usually still submerged or,
Yeah.
floating at that point or whatever, but.
And I have spoken, and I'm sure you're going to know, but I'm going to ask you not to say this person's name. Mm-hmm. So there's a person that supposedly heard a conversation with Josh, who alleges that Josh states that something was tied around him. And that person is still as of last week, stating that was said to him.
Well,
But you do not have any, do you have any recollection of any conversation?
Oh, no. Conversation after the fact, no. And Josh, never remember him saying anything. Never remember, like, when Bryan's body was pulled out of the water, that there was even anything attached to him.
And so you might have noticed, and you might be saying, hey, there's some periods of that interview that appear to be edited. And yes, they were. I edited some of the dead space, and I also edited key points that I have not released yet, and we're going to talk about in the future. And I didn't want to get into that because I'm still interviewing people and I'm still asking for public records. So I didn't want to give everything away at this point. I didn't give my strategy away. So the video was edited. All right. That's pretty much the context of the video, however. And hopefully you were able to glean some information from that interview. We'll probably be back for an outro segment. And don't forget our live event, March 1st, 4:30 p.m. All right, folks, I had some high hopes of getting some initial and day one interviews also in there to try to balance it off with a current interview as well as a past interview, and we're running out of time. So we're going to cut it now because we also have to start getting ready for the March 1st live event. So please join us March 1st, 4:30 p.m. Please hit the link below for the information relative to it if you want to sign up as an audience member, or again, just simply log into YouTube, Facebook, Rumble for the infamous ex-chief, and it will be broadcasting live, and we'll see you then.